So first thing they do is that they want to make sure that no one else is in the building. How do they do that? Do they wait for the landlord to come along and open all the doors? No, they don't. Their first action is, let's see who's in here. Boof, door goes in. Hi guys, it's Arsh and welcome to the channel. Welcome to this week's video. And this week's video is a little bit real. It's a little bit surreal, if I'm honest. So for those that watched last week's video, first of all, I want to say thank you for all the love and support. Lots of you reached out to me and said, Arsh, hope your mom's well, hope she gets better. And the reality is that as I'm recording this, I've literally just managed to get her discharged out of hospital. So having lived in the hospital for the best part of the week, as you can see, it's not treated me too well, but I'm going to tell you a few stories and really hope that you enjoy them. Now, as always, this episode is sponsored by the Property Investor app, which is the UK's first property investment platform, which showcases all kinds of deals all over the UK. Whether you're looking for that below market value deal, that rent to rent deal, that lease option deal, we've got them all there. Go and check them out. There are two ways to get involved. You can either go to propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it from there. Now let's get straight into it. I was thinking about this before I recorded this video, and I kept thinking, what makes my channel any different to all those that are teaching property, shall we say? And the reality is that none of them would dare share some of the content that I share with you guys. So lots of people talk about the get rich quick. Lots of people talk about all the great ways to get involved in property and the amount of money that you can make in property. None of them really discuss the lessons that you're going to learn in property, and shall we call them the hard lessons? And today's session is all about hard lessons. So if we refer back to last week, and this is quite fresh by the way, so if we refer back to last week, I was talking about when I was in the hospital. My mother had been admitted to A&E, having taken a bit of a fall. Now, off the back of that, the one thing that I forgot to mention in last week's video is that whilst my mother was receiving paramedic treatment in the back of the paramedic vehicle, shall we call it, I actually got a call from a withheld number. Now, for property investors and landlords alike, you know that when you're getting a call from a withheld number at approximately 7 p.m. in the evening, it's never good news. It's not going to be someone saying, Arsh, you've won £10,000, or it's going to be, oh, Arsh, I'm here to pay you 6 months rent up front, or, you know, something positive. It's always going to be something bad. And that's exactly what it was. So whilst I was in the back of the paramedic vehicle, got a call and it says, hi, is that Mr. Ilahi? I go, yes, it is. So it said, it's West Midlands Police Service here. And instantly you think, oh God, what's happened? And they said, sorry to inform you that one of your properties is on fire. Now, in my journey, my property journey, 22 years full time, pretty much best part of 35 years in total. So for those that don't know, I grew up around property. So in my 22 years full time, I can pretty much count now, including the activities of last week, 5 fires. Touch wood, that no one has ever been hurt or died in any of the fire incidences. But we got a call and they said, well, and one of the questions that I ask is, you know, how bad's the damage? And they said, it's burnt like toast. So what had happened is a tenant had fallen asleep with a candle on. Now the candle, unfortunately, then set light and it set the whole of that apartment on fire. Now it's on the second floor of the building. So not only did it cause them risk and harm, but also all the other apartments below. And what normally happens is with the fire brigade, as you can appreciate, their first call of action is protection of life or prevention of someone being hurt. So first thing they do is that they want to make sure that no one else is in the building. How do they do that? Do they wait for the landlord to come along and open all the doors? No, they don't. Their first action is, let's see who's in here. Boof, door goes in. Now, luckily, in this scenario, I had someone quite local that could go and open doors very quickly. So we managed to retain some of the doors. Not all the doors, but some of the doors. Now, also, when a fire brigade goes in and they see, and there's flames, I'm hoping that I'm going to do a mini clip of the apartment on fire here. What happens is that as soon as they see that something's on fire, their first action is, how do we put it out? Now, when fire brigades go in, they use a lot of water. When we talk about a lot of water, not only do they use enough water to put the fire out, but they make sure that there's sufficient water in order for it to pretty much run through the building. When we're talking about run through the building, to put this into context, that the apartment in question is completely ruined. However, because we had all the fire detection in place, we had the fire alarm in place, we had the fire doors in place, none of the other apartments technically were damaged. However, as a result of the fire brigade, they came in, sprayed all the apartments literally to full of water. And what do you reckon happens with that water? It then starts to seep down into the first floor. And because they put so much water in there, it then seeps down into the ground floor. So apartments that are on the first floor that were previously not affected now are fully water damaged. And likewise with the ground floor. Now, it's interesting because, it really tested me last week. So here I am sat in a paramedic vehicle with my mother who'd just taken a fall. So naturally, my thoughts about making sure that she's okay. All of a sudden now I've got a building on fire. So now we're having to figure out what do we need to do to protect all the other tenants, where we're going to house them, how we're going to house them. This was at 7 o'clock in the evening. I'm not at the scene. I had to send other people to the scene. So it was difficult. It was difficult. And they say that when you're going through a bit of a tough patch, it generally comes in threes. So if you thought that was bad enough, if you thought that having to deal with your mother in A&E, having to wait, 14, 15, 16 hours to be seen in A&E, and then also having to deal with a fire wasn't bad enough, let me fast forward now to Thursday. So Thursday, get a call, withheld number. And I thought, yeah, okay. It's going to be the fire brigade, it's going to be the police talking me through what their next plan of action is on this apartment, what we need to do. Are we going to get a crime number? This time I get a call from, I think it's Staffordshire, off memory, Staffordshire Fire Brigade. Hi, is that Mr. Elahi? Yes, it is. One of your buildings is on fire. And I said, surely not. Not 2 in 2 days. 2 fires, 2 days. What the hell are the chances of that? And I said, ask the same question. How bad? Pretty bad, burnt like toast. And so we don't really know what the cause of this one is yet, because we're trying to figure out, did the tenant have a faulty appliance? We're trying to figure out, did they cook something or burn something, because they're not forthcoming with some information. So we've got loss adjusters, we've got, we're working with the fire brigade to understand what exactly was the cause. Some people said that they saw some people running away from the property, so we don't know whether it is a situation that a tenant had with a friend, a guest, whoever it may be. But ultimately, if you think of the level of damage that's been caused by residents that live in the properties who don't own the properties, and you've got to think that the amount that they've probably cost in damage around, let's say, circa £50,000. That's if we were to refurb them at best. So the 2-bedroom house, we're looking circa 30, maybe 40 grand. The 2-bedroom apartment, approximately 20 grand. So let's say it's about 60 grand. Now, in the apartment alone, if the tenant is paying, let's say, £500 to £600 a month, we're only collecting 6 grand, maybe 7 grand a year in rental income. And if they're only there for a year, but they've cost me 20 grand's worth of damage, it kind of made me question whether I'm still cut out for the property industry. But then these are where the negative thoughts kick in. What do we do? Do we sell up? Do we do what? And I said, you know what? We can't think like that, because 19 years, 20 years in the industry, 22 years in the industry, you've got to think that over that period, how much rental income have you collected? What kind of income have you generated from it? And what has it done for your lifestyle? But this is where you really have to dig deep, because, it's not only the damage to the property. You've got to think of how much time is it going to take? How much effort is it going to take? How long are those buildings going to be closed off for? How long do we have to wait for the loss adjusters, insurance claims? What's it going to do to our premiums? All these kind of questions. And then, is it the one in Telford? Luckily, that's probably our only one in that location. So when we do the property back up, chances are that we're probably just going to dispose of that one, because then, although we've owned it, I think I bought that one in 2006, so we've owned it best part of 15 years. It's paid for itself multiple times over, and there's literally no mortgage on it. So in that respect, we've got very clear action on that. But the apartment, which is in a block of apartments, which is within a block of about 100 that we own within that street, that's a little bit more difficult. But it really made me ask questions as to whether I wanted to be in this industry. And the point of this video is that it's not all roses. You will get times where you get tested. You will get times where tenants cause damage. You will get times where tenants owe you rent. You will get times where tenants think that they're owed everything and they don't have to give anything. And I've had that scenario recently as well, but it's part and parcel of the game. Remember why you're in it. You were in it for this lifestyle. You're in it for the long term. You're in it for, the financial freedom, although sometimes it does feel like a bit of a drain. But guys, the whole point is that you will get through it. You just got to keep pushing through. Just keep waiting to see light at the end of the tunnel. Now, I'm second week into this, so we're still dealing with issues with, insurance companies. And I can imagine that insurance companies are going to try and wiggle their way out every way possible, because that's what they do. They don't want to pay out if they don't have to pay out, and they'll look for any excuse to. And I'm sure that lots of you have come across that. And if you have, put them in the comments box below, because it'd be good to hear your side of it. Is it just me? Like when we had a fire previously, and this was going back to first lockdown. I'm sure I covered it in one of my videos, so feel free to go and have a look, or I'm going to ask my assistant if she can stick the video here, or maybe here. So we had a fire in lockdown, pretty much lockdown version 1. So you can watch that video. So now to have fires number 2 and 3 within quite close succession of those is a bitter pill to swallow, because we have to spend that money to reclaim that money. And what else could we be doing with that money? Now, I feel for those landlords or for those investors where this pretty much would send a few of them under. They wouldn't be able to do the work. They may not be able to afford the premiums. If insurance companies fail to pay out for whatever reason, that could be the end of their property journey. Now, we've got to take into consideration that they will look at everything. They'll ask to see up-to-date gas certificates, electrical certificates, EPC documents. They'll ask to see tenancy agreements. They'll ask to see all kinds of stuff. So this is where you, now as a property investor, need to be and make sure that you're fully compliant. And luckily we are. Luckily we're quite hot on making sure that we've got all documentation in place to avoid, so that the insurance company can't come back to us saying, well, you've not got this, you've not got this, you've not got this, and as a result we're not paying out. Because let's face it, they'll use that tactic every day of the week. So make sure, if you take anything away from this video, is that just get a little file out and make sure that you've got everything in a spreadsheet. Put when is the EPC next due, when is the gas safety certificate next due, when is the electrical certs next due, is the tenant's deposit protected in a scheme, and make sure that you've got all the documents. Have you got all the right to rent documents in place to ensure that if someone comes to ask you that question, that they can't pick you up on any of those, or in essence try and walk away with something as a result of you being negligent on your responsibilities. And this also comes to HMO licenses, whether you get the fire alarm tested, whether you get the emergency lighting testing, whether you get the PAT testing done, electrical certs, etc. Make sure you've got them all in place. When is the HMO license next due? I've got these in a spreadsheet, and I make sure that we diarise these to ensure that we don't fall foul, so that when something is due, it gets done promptly before its due date. So if it's due on the 1st of November, we make sure that we start actioning it in October, ready, so that there is no overlap. We're actually days in lieu of it. So guys, there we go. Quick video. It's not all roses. It never will be. And after this challenge, I'll probably come across more challenges. Just so happens that right now, it just feels like that everything's coming down on me. And it is what it is. I'm dealing with a sick mother. I'm dealing now with 2 burnt out houses. I'm now dealing with tenants that we're having to rehouse. And then again, I feel for the guys where they live underneath and their property's been water damaged. But I can't. Unfortunately, that's fully out of my control. All I can do is ensure that we put them somewhere and that they're dealt with in a courteous manner. And that's exactly what we're doing. So hopefully you've enjoyed that video. As always, I love reading your comments. Please feel free to leave them below. As always, I say, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you've liked the video, if you like the realness and the rawness of this video, please let me know. If you want more free content like this, go and check out the podcast that I release every Tuesday. It's called The Property Rebel. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, just a few of the channels there. As well as that, if you want to connect with me on social media, find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Clubhouse, all under the handle of Arsh. And finally, if you haven't already done so, as I said, all these videos are sponsored by the Property Investor app, which is the UK's first property investment platform, which showcases all kinds of deals all over the UK. Whether you're looking out for that burnt out house, which you might list on there, by the way, or BMV deals, rent-to-rent deals, lease option deals, we've got them all there. Go and check them all out. So you can either go to propertyinvestorapp.co.uk, which is the website, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it from there. As always, guys, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Chin up, look up, head forward, and let's keep moving forward together safely. And I wish you all the very best of luck. Take care, thank you, and bye-bye.